which is a museum support group devoted to exhibitions and acquisitions for the museum's photography collection. And if you'd like more information about the Photography Council, there'll be a flyer on the book signing table outside. Colleen will be signing books after her talk. And our next event is on May 12th. It's our signature annual event where Photography Council members get to vote on a work to be acquired for the museum's collection. So it's a great, really fun event, and if you can join us, please do. But tonight is a very special treat. We have Colleen Plum giving a talk for us. And her first monograph, Animals Are Outside Today, is published, sort of, by Radius Books, but it hasn't been widely released yet. Its big release will be in the fall. So what we have in the store are advanced copies. So you're very lucky. And you'll get a chance to have her sign them after the talk, as I mentioned. And before I bring her up, I just want to tell you a little bit about her background. She was born and raised in Chicago and worked as a graphic designer for several years before pursuing a degree in photography at Columbia College. Her most recent body of work focuses on the human-animal relationship in contemporary society and examines the multi-layered impact humans have on other living beings. Her work is held in several institutional and private collections, including the Museum of Contemporary Photography in Chicago, the Milwaukee Art Museum, the Southeast Museum of Photography, and Fidelity Investments in Boston. Her photographs are part of the Midwest Photographers Project at Columbia College and the Chicago Project at Catherine Edelman Gallery in Chicago. They're also featured in Photo Eye's Photographer Showcase. Her photographs have been exhibited in many solo and group exhibitions, and she has an exhibition on view right now at Jen Beckman Gallery in New York, which will travel to Miami in May. And her work has been widely published, appearing in PDN and Hot Shoe International, among many other publications. She currently teaches at Columbia College, Chicago. So please join me in welcoming Colleen Plum.
Thank you, Lisa, for that nice introduction. It's an honor to be here. I met Lisa 3 years ago, actually, at a portfolio review event in Santa Fe, and I'm very grateful for her essay in my book. It's deeply insightful, and the response to her response to my work and her analysis of it is thrilling and illuminates the work in ways that really exceed my hope in my dream for making this book. So I'm very grateful for her essay. So read it. I would also like to thank the Photography Council here at the Milwaukee Art Museum, and especially Mel Tratine. I can't see, where is Mel? Her encouragement for years has been so wonderful. And to Brooke Mulvaney also for organizing the event. I feel fortunate to be welcomed by the vibrant community of photographers here in Milwaukee. And thanks to there's students here, I believe, from Columbia and from Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design and maybe UWM as well. So welcome to the students that are here. Also, thank you to the fellow parents from the Chicago Waldorf School who made the trip here. It's thrilling that you're here. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to show you my work. Thank you for being here again. So the work I'll be showing you is from my long-term series called Animals Are Outside Today, which I began around 1997. I'll show you some of the early pictures, the origins of the project, as well as the evolution of the project, and then how it's culminated in a book that, as Lisa said, was just published by, or sort of published. It's finished. The publishing date is fall, by Radius Books in Santa Fe. So this series examines relationships between humans and animals. It looks at how animals are woven through the fabric of our culture. The project investigates both our deep kinship throughout history as well as the ways that we're disconnected from animals. So this photograph, for instance, I took at the Central Park Zoo. And I wanted to include a picture specifically from the Central Park Zoo because of its close proximity to such an urban place. You know, the Central Park Zoo is like symbolic of this haven of nature set within the urban scene, and that all these animals are plunked in there in this zoo from all over the world is fascinating to me and bizarre. You know, the contrast from the urban to these to the animals. And this polar bear, Lisa uses the word actually forlorn when she described this picture, and that's exactly what he was. He was just doing nothing, and it was closing time, and there was a birthday party going on. All these kids were like tromping through this other viewing area, and you know, the polar bear just was sitting there, not too interested in his toys. So the work, it looks at these contradictions, that we love and admire animals, we're entertained and fascinated by them, we take our children to watch and learn about them. So I'm interested in the fact that we can simultaneously, you know, attend, this is a herpetological society event in Chicago, and you know, we attend these events or have snakes. I don't know who has a pet snake, but that we do, and that we, you know, simultaneously wear the skin of a snake on our feet or as a handbag, and that the two can coexist. So wearing skins and furs has been part of our human history, you know, based originally on utility and then as a symbol of status and wealth. So, you know, this consumption of animals is very layered throughout history. And this image is called Wet Blue Hides, and I took it at Horween Tannery. It's on Elston and Ashland in Chicago. And you would easily miss that this tannery exists and that there were lots of tanneries in that area. This place particularly, they make the NFL footballs, the only tannery that makes the NFL footballs. I thought that was a funny fact. But I heard through, you know, doing a tiny bit of research that these pallets of hides were back behind the tannery. And so I went back there and I was trespassing and it was freezing and I'm afraid that I'm gonna get like kicked out of there. And I wanted to get a picture specifically from a tannery because it sort of would represent the farthest edge that I wanted to go in the series of how we interact with animals. So these are the hides, and they're in a semi-processed state. They're blue because they've been soaked in chromium. And you know, tanning is such an awfully toxic process. So it kind of says a lot about like our culture and what we do to the environment and how it's damaging, and that we basically you know, have these layers of consumption. So this is a bird hat from a tannery, from a milliner. And I found myself doing more and more research as I continued in this project. And so bird hats, of course, were worn after the Civil War. Women wore tons of bird hats. So thousands and thousands of birds were killed each year for wearing on our heads. And this picture, you know, this is an actual vintage bird hat. And I asked the woman, I went in and I said, hey, can I photograph this bird hat? And I was not even intending to do it. I was just walking by to drop my film off. And it was just there. It was just this gift. I was like, there is a bird hat in that shop right there. So she was very accommodating, and I found out that the Audubon Society was founded by women in Harriet Hemingway and Minna Hall in 1896. So they got all their wealthy friends in Boston to help others. There were 1,000 women joined and said, quit wearing dead birds on your head because the birds were being decimated. And it worked. They started this Audubon Society, and it was in honor of John James Audubon. He didn't start it at all, the painter didn't start it, but it was in honor of him, his name, his paintings.